information. Also, guys, I wanted to mention an important story on Roméo Lavia, midfielder, born in 2004, top Belgian talent, playing for Southampton. Let me remind that Southampton invested £12 million on Roméo Lavia to sign him from Manchester City. Joe Shields was the director at Manchester City, and then he joined Southampton, and then he decided to sign Roméo Lavia, trust this player, and now he's one of the best talents in the Premier League. Also important to mention the scout, Roméo Lavia, mentioned him in an interview from Manchester City called Sam Fagbemi. He did an excellent job in finding him, bringing him to Manchester City, then Southampton signing the player for £12 million. What's the point? Roméo Lavia is attracting...
What's the point? It's good to get the background information there, Fabrizio.
Very important interest, because he's a top talented midfielder. Many clubs are following the situation. Let me say one thing. The buyback clause for Manchester City is valid into the contract starting from summer 2024. So not now. This is the understanding. And so this is why Man City don't have the full control on Roméo Lavia.
That's very important information in terms of him leaving Southampton, because as of next summer, Man City can just buy him back. And then if you want him, they're either going to keep him or they will sell him on and make the profits on him. So this summer is massive for the Lavia deal.
This upcoming summer. And so other clubs are interested. Arsenal are keeping an eye on the player. So Arsenal are following Roméo Lavia, but at the moment, still nothing advanced. Arsenal have many options. And again, remember my words, Caicedo remains a target after the discussions they had during the January transfer window. So Caicedo is in the list again at Arsenal, and Roméo Lavia is a player they are following, but I also wanted to add Chelsea, because...
So Fabrizio here revealing that Arsenal are interested in Lavia, that of course they've still got this long-standing interest in Caicedo that has just signed a new deal with Brighton. And of course we know Fabrizio brought this news to everybody just yesterday, that the deal for Declan Rice to Arsenal is seen as by many as being close. We know personal terms have been discussed. We know the player is excited to join. But the work Arsenal are currently doing to improve their midfield should have their fans excited. You've got Declan Rice, who is seen as a shining light. But they're also aware, and we've said this on many of our streams, Chelsea are going to come in for him. They're definitely going to come in for him. There'll be more than one club looking at Caicedo. And I think Arsenal can fend off a lot of football clubs, especially if they're champions. However, the fact they're working on 2 or 3 players should be music to Arsenal fans' ears. And of course, Chelsea, you heard they're looking at all 3 of the same players that Arsenal are looking at. That shouldn't be a surprise. There hasn't been a major player linked to a United, an Arsenal, a City, a Liverpool in the last 9 months without Chelsea sticking their beak into it. They've been very, very good at this. Chelsea fans love it and enjoy it. But of course, Chelsea are not going to sign all 3 of those players, nor are Arsenal, nor are Manchester United, whose name hasn't really been heavily linked to any of those players yet. But you would expect United to be in that mix once their takeover is either complete or investment comes in. Whether the Glazers stay or not, some type of investment is coming into Man United. They're not going to turn down all these offers, meaning there's going to be money to spend this summer on Ten Hag's project. And you also have Liverpool. But where will these players end up? Look, I want your opinions on that in the comment section below. What I also wanted you to scan these QR codes. Firstly, the Top 6 show just here, as you can see, our podcast on Spotify. I think nearly 4,500 of you have come over and followed us on there, started listening and downloading that podcast twice a week. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And then we've got the Clips channel. Now, the Clips, we just take lots of segments from all of our shows and put them out there for you. It is doing bits at the moment. I'm so proud of it. KJ runs that as well, by the way. So get yourselves over there. Make sure you're following it, because there's probably loads of little nuggets and sections and clips that you haven't seen. We do so much content over here, but get yourselves across to the Clips channel and get that done. But I want to know what you think is going to happen here. And I think the Lavia deal is interesting because he has been a standout player in a poor Southampton team this year. His performance at Old Trafford a few weeks ago was absolutely brilliant. I thought the way he performed as well against Tottenham just before the international break was great. And of course, the story that I saw this morning was a trending topic on Twitter, where Fabrizio's words were quoted here by the Transfer Daily, that Arsenal were interested in making a move for Lavia. He's also mentioned Chelsea as well. And I want to get your takes on that. And as Arsenal fans, would you prefer Declan Rice or Lavia? Or Caicedo? If you're going to got to pick one. You might sign 2, but let's just say you're going to get 1. Who would your number 1 choice be? I want to know right now in the comment sections, people. I also wanted to take some time today to also look at the Nagelsmann situation. As we know, yesterday, it was revealed by a lot of German outlets that Nagelsmann is very open to the idea of becoming the Tottenham manager. And we do know this to be true. But what we have seen this morning as well is other news that states that Nagelsmann has been on Real Madrid's radar for some time. He will be one of their options if Carlo Ancelotti leaves. And this is a slight problem for Tottenham. We know that Nagelsmann has told Tottenham he wants some time to reflect and sort of gather his thoughts. There is a big feeling that Real Madrid may sack Carlo Ancelotti at the end of the season, especially if he doesn't win the Champions League. They're ruthless. They're ruthless, and that's why they are so successful. It's part of their ethos in many ways. Does Julian Nagelsmann wait and see if he's that option? Or does he take, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, as the old adage goes? What's he going to do? We're going to take a little listen here to what Sky Sports had to say, and then I want to garnish your opinions on this.
Keeping an eye on the situation of Julian Nagelsmann, who now we know
that's Tottenham keeping an eye,
is not in a job. Now, it's interesting here because Nagelsmann is someone that Tottenham Hotspur have looked at not once but twice before when they've recruited their last 2 managers. So it's one of those situations now where Tottenham are looking at every single potential candidate that they can against the backdrop of what's happening with Antonio Conte, because as it stands, Antonio Conte is still the manager of Tottenham Hotspur. But Tottenham kind of need to do all of their due diligence, not only if he leaves now, but also he's out of contract in the summer as Antonio Conte. So any club worth their salt, if they know that a manager's out of contract come the summer, they're going to have to look at a permanent replacement for the current manager. So that's the situation we have at the moment. It's something that they're just looking at just now with Nagelsmann.
And that's true. And Spurs are also not going to go too heavy on this. So Tottenham fans, don't expect any of the Spurs press to be like, it's close or it's advancing or they're pushing hard. Because if it doesn't happen and they don't get him, Spurs are going to need a get out PR story that they were never interested or not heavily interested, and they've got their eyes on other people. All clubs do it, not just Tottenham, but be mindful of that. But in my opinion, looking at the stories out of Germany, they're heavily interested in him. But Real Madrid may also be as well. So potentially, this may drag on a little bit. Conte may not be formally asked to leave. They've told him they don't want him at the club. He knows he's not wanted, but they don't want to pay out this 5 to 7 million pound of compensation just to bring in Ryan Mason if there's an opportunity of bringing in an elite level manager instead, because Ryan Mason is not going to get you top 4 between now and the end of the season. So it's not just 5 to 7 million to Antonio Conte. You're actually hemorrhaging near a 50 to 60 because of Champions League money. Spurs fans, what do you want to see? I'm really intrigued to know. I also want to speak about a story today. I'm not going to lie, it's frustrated the living daylights out of me. And it's in relation to Marcus Rashford. The headline here is England can't miss Marcus Rashford if he never plays for us, says Gareth Southgate. And Southgate has hinted that he's becoming frustrated at Marcus Rashford's regular withdrawals from the England squad, saying a player cannot be considered a loss if they're rarely present. And the reason why I find this frustrating is Marcus Rashford has played for club and country nearly 50 games this season. And there is still, potentially for Man United, nearly 20 left. This is a player who was one of England's standout performers at the World Cup. 3 goals on his way to that game with France. Incorrectly, 110% incorrectly, not only on the bench in the starting lineup, but was given 3 to 4 minutes to try and help England get an equaliser. Almost scored a brilliant free kick. And the form he was in during the World Cup, the same as Bukayo Saka, to not be playing both of them, one on the right, one on the left, was an absolute travesty. It's an abomination to football. His form since demonstrates how good he was. So for Gareth Southgate to publicly out Marcus Rashford in this way is nothing short of disgraceful. He is not reading the room properly, because England fans want Marcus Rashford playing. But they equally understand the man was limping through the last 2 or 3 games for Man United. Has he got a major injury that's going to keep him from playing for us after the international break? No, it isn't. But for him to go away to England duty, train with you, to barely play, to sit on that bench when he is nursing an injury is mad. The man has played more minutes than pretty much any football player in the Premier League this season. He's nursing a slight injury. And this is also a guy who, for about 2 years, the club and country played through injury, which partly led to him having an awful season last year because his body was broken down, his confidence was shot, and he's doing absolutely the right thing by protecting himself. Just for Southgate to sit him on the bench incorrectly and to cost England, in some respects, more opportunities. And that's all Southgate has done. He's improved he fixed England to a degree. He did. We were broken. He's got us he's given us some of the best tournaments we've had in my lifetime. But equally, he has failed at the final hurdle or one of the last hurdles each time. And he consistently gets substitutions wrong. Bringing Rashford on so late in the Euros with Sancho, that led to them missing their penalties. They were cold. They were stone cold bonkers. Not giving Rashford time. In some tournaments, not taking Harry Kane off when he was dying on his arse. Picking Calvin Phillips to 90 minutes the other day. You know, we got away with that one. And now he's out here attacking Rashford in the media. For me, it is nothing short of a disgrace. Leave Rashford alone. He's got a minor injury. He's absolutely right to not permanently injure himself for the season for the sake of sitting on your bench and getting 2 or 3 minutes. He's been one of your best players in the last 12 months. And you don't even pick him. You're picking players that have barely kicked a ball. You know, Calvin Phillips played more minutes for England in this international break than he's had Prem minutes all season. And he's getting picked. Southgate, mate, keep Rashford's name out of your mouth because you're embarrassing yourself, mate. Look, everyone who's tuned in today, thank you. Make sure you hit the like button. You subscribe to the Football Terrace. Click the bell notification button as well. Very, very important to us that you get that done. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you soon. Bye.